What's happening, everybody? It's the N2F podcast. My name is Nathan Neal, and I have an awesome guest with me today. A lifelong friend of mine. His name is Ryan Kemp. He has a great perspective on life. His outlook is amazing, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear his insight today. Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you've been, and just kind of where you're at right now in your life.
Oh, yeah. So I'll start with right now. I'm a bank regulator, so you're probably wondering, like, why is this guy, calling me? I mean, we grew up together. His dad actually coached me and was one of the first people to actually, sit me down on the side and said, your dad's going to be really tough on you. And Todd sat me down and he told me, I love that you hustle and you give it everything you got.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny when you're a kid, it's funny you remember stuff like that where something as small as that can almost mold you into becoming who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really who I tried to be just all throughout life. And just playing baseball from around Hendersonville. I had 4 good solid years at Good Pasture Christian School. Enjoyed every ounce of the playing baseball there. Was fortunate enough to have 3 offers out of high school to Columbia State, Bethel, and Jackson State Community College. I decided to go to Columbia State. Right after that, fed right into MTSU. Got to live the D1 experience at NT. Go Blue Raiders. And then
Glamorous lifestyle right there.
Oh, yeah. And then I got 2 years of pro ball under my belt. I guess my story, the cool part of the story is just not really supposed to do any of that, to be honest. Not very athletic, underdog in the sense that, nobody would have dreamed that Ryan would have played baseball at MT, much less get to go play pro and get to, play a sport and someone give you monetary money to go out there and to hit a white ball. And a lot of things worked out in my favor. Good opportunities and just surrounding myself with the right people at the right time, really helped me out. But now, I'm retired, living life on a professional business side of things. I'm a lot more in the finance world. It's a whole different world, but that's really the dream now. You transition from being an athlete at some point, even if you don't want to, you transition into the real world. And now I regulate banks. So, I would bore a lot of people if I told you guys what I do now. A lot of Excel spreadsheets and numbers or what have you. But I've learned a lot, and it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, it's awesome that you mentioned my dad, because your dad and my dad coached together when we were in Little League ball, and the fact,
old.
25 doesn't seem that old, but in the grand scheme of things, it kind of is. But funny, you said my dad kind of pulled you aside and said, I love your hustle, I love your desire, and at that point we were young kids, we were 5 or 6 years old, and but how that makes a lasting impression on us going forward is huge. And I remember even your dad saying the same thing. It's like, hey, your dad's going to be hard on you. He is a great man, and he's going to push you, and he's going to continue to want you to want the best out of you. But
our dad's planning to say, they were like, let's mold them.
Yeah, exactly. And both of their names are Todd, by the way. So that must be an endearing factor of Todd's. But man, I'm glad you're here, and we haven't talked in a long time, but I think that the cool part is with this podcast, and I've talked to some of my viewers about this podcast, being the fact that I can not only meet new people, gain new insight, but also reconnect with the people where my roots came from in sports. And last week we talked to Alex Jr. That conversation was awesome, and got to hear his insight a little bit. And funny thing is,
hey, you got me following the legend Alex. I was gonna stink rid of that one.
Before we started, we were really talking highly about Alex and how he's a great character guy, and how he's really dependable, but just a freak athlete. And we were sitting there just talking about it, and it made me reminisce on when we were young kids on the baseball field running around, and size 2 pants, and just like running after this white ball, had no idea what we were doing. But at the same time, how you progress from that to your adult years, and how Ryan just said that he works in the banking industry, and I'm a personal trainer. So how did those things when we were kids mold us into the futures that we have now? And I think that is it's crazy to think about that. And from the perspective of two athletes, one playing college ball and then one playing independent professional baseball, you kind of take that at face value and see like, wow, that's kind of cool. We came from the same general area. We had the same general friends. We had the same general influences in our life, whether that be people at the park that we grew up with, or people that we went to church with, or whoever. Those people played a big role in how we got to where we were. But I think that at the end of the day, when I started this podcast, a big, I guess, thing that excited me was the fact that I could reconnect with old friends and kind of see where they're at in their life, and how we can fit into this soup, I guess you call it. So Ryan, I want to talk a little bit about your independent ball experience, and where were you located? How long were you there? And kind of talk about just the ins and outs of independent baseball, and how is it the same as Major League Baseball? How is it different? And just kind of go through there, because I mean, you've been there, done that. The mic's all yours. Go ahead and let us. Just take off.
All right. Well, I think first off, in comparison to Alex, I just wasn't that athlete. I never, just had the incredible talents. I really think what ended up happening in this fitness podcast, was I fell in love with the gym, and I really fell in love with training, and truly fell in love with it. Enjoyed going to the gym, enjoyed learning how to better myself to be better at baseball. And what I didn't realize is just how many guys at the professional level, talking about independent ball, were just insane, really incredible. College ball, there's some great players. I mean, no one, D1, D2, even D3 guys, or NAIA, JUCO ball. These guys can flat out play the game or the sport at a high level. Well, when you transition into guys, and if you think about it this way, that are making their living, they're literally getting paid to do this, they're incredible. And I think even the level that Alex is seeing is a whole different spectrum. I would say 80% of the guys playing any ball have played, for the White Sox, for the Tigers, for affiliate organizations, and these guys can flat out play. It was the first time in my life where I'd run out in the field and just feel like a very small fish in a very big pond. Literally, there's pictures of me lined up, in the national anthem, and I'm literally at these guys' kneecaps. For anybody that doesn't know, I could stand up right now and you wouldn't tell the difference, I'm sure. And I wear it. It is what it is. I'm 5'3", 5'4", and I made every ounce of my height to eventually my advantage. But I think the biggest transition in pro ball was just the fact that these guys are ridiculous. It's not the same. It's your lifeline. It's very cutthroat. Independent ball, a guy loses his job, his career every week, and probably more than just one guy. Players come in and out of the locker room, and it's, dare I say it, pretty cutthroat. And there's a lot of tears in a sports organization's locker room, and I mean that seriously, because guys train their whole lives to get to this point, and they get 10 at bats. Some guys don't even get that. They'll show up, they'll do spring training, and then after the first game, they'll get cut. And it's really sad seeing that. And it just goes to show there's a lot more people that want to be an athlete than you think. There's a lot more people that want to do podcasts. It's just so many people are good at what they do, and if you're not really great, you're going to get weeded out. And that's eventually what happened to me. People start working extremely hard and having talent eventually, and those are the guys I couldn't catch. I'll never be an Alex Jr. My talent it caps out. Eventually it caps out. But I think in the process of sports, man, you learn so much, and you take that with you to the nth degree. I think everyone has their foundation or the things that they really believe in, and I definitely certainly would say, taking care of your attitude and taking care of your effort every day will take you so far. Just those two things, because there's a lot of things not only in baseball but in life that you can't control. But you can't control your attitude and your effort. You show up with a smile and you work hard. And those two things. Well, undoubtedly, I know it's him sitting here. I know who he is, and I know those are two things you can control, and it'll take you a really long ways. Mm-hmm. So if you're younger and you think you don't have a lot of a chance, maybe look at my life, maybe somebody else's, but just know that you can do it. It is possible, and that, take care of your attitude, take care of your effort, and get your priorities straight, and you go a long ways with something that, my own dad, I don't think to a certain degree thought I was going to do some of the things I got to do. Mm-hmm. Talking in just purely fitness. I think signing up to Gold's Gym and following around a bodybuilder that took me under his wing ended up being a $40,000 to $50,000 decision. And I say that because if I don't get in the gym and really figure out how my body works and what makes me unique, I wouldn't have had 4 full scholarships in college. It just would not have happened. And if you're a guy in high school, or maybe even younger, if you just know that you want to try to be a pro athlete, I'd highly suggest you try to figure out your training. Figure out what you want to do and be deliberate on how you get there. Because it's not accidentally going to happen anymore. I think there's just too many people out there going for it. You don't even know who you're going against. I think that was the other thing in any ball that was different. Guys just show up. There's guys from Venezuela that send their money back to a broken country, to their family. If he doesn't play baseball at a high level, his family doesn't eat. And that is a whole different level of care that guys are going into the game. Yeah. They're showing up at 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m., working out until 11, and then going grabbing a bite to eat, and then they're getting ready for the game that night at 6 or 7.
Those same guys are also not only physically more adapted than you are, but they are literally and physically more hungry than you, and their family is more hungry than you too. So they're willing to do whatever it takes to get that starting role to stay in the independent ball realm. So, man, that perspective is wild, because I go back to my experiences with going on mission trips to Nicaragua, although be it it's not independent ball, but we would go down there with a group called Full Count Ministries, and I got the privilege of going down and working with one of the state teams in Nicaragua. And they were kind of a semi-professional league down there, and it was cool to see that those guys were also getting paid to play ball. But the one thing that separated us, the guys that lived in the United States and the guys that lived in Nicaragua, the only thing that separated us was resources. Those guys would grind tooth and nail to work their tails off, to make sure their family is fed, to make sure that they are fed and that their health is in good order. And they would just, man, I've never seen guys work harder. And just when you thought that some of those guys had no gas left in the tank, something in their brain switched. And there was they came to this 2x4 moment. A 2x4 smacked them in the face and said, "You're not done. Your family didn't get to eat dinner last night because you didn't make your money. Go out there, work your tail off, and go feed your family." And it's no different in independent ball, I feel like, especially when you have guys from third world countries. So
yeah. It's a whole different,
you talk about some of the disadvantages you have, and just basically being short, and how in the game of baseball that's not necessarily like a wow factor. Here's how I see, especially you, Ryan, as a guy that did a lot more in baseball than you would have expected, than I would have expected. Is you're strong as an ox, but at the same time, I think that you were hungry. You were hungry in the same sense that those guys from Venezuela were hungry. You have more resources than they do: food, water, a place to sleep, and a family that loves you. You have more resources than they do, but you were just as hungry because you recognized that there was something in you that you kept telling yourself, or somebody kept telling you, you're too short, you're too this, you're too that. And although you and I didn't have constant communication at that time, there were times when I saw you crawling out of Gold's Gym because you just worked out your legs so hard that you couldn't walk. And I was like, man, that man is on a mission, whether he's walking, sprinting, or crawling out of that gym, he's on a mission. Yeah. And next thing I know, you're getting All-American honors at MTSU. You have amazing seasons, and then you go off and play independent baseball. You get paid to hit a white ball. Yeah. And I'm like, Ryan Kemp, are we talking about the same guy here? Yeah. And not discrediting your athletic ability, but like, it wasn't, yeah. Dude, to me, that was a heroic story of a guy that, I mean, for years was just told, nah, he's too short. He doesn't have a cannon of an arm. He hits the ball great, but doesn't have power. And then he starts mashing home runs, and he goes and plays independent ball. So if you're out there listening and you feel like you're too short, or you feel like you don't have the resources, or you feel like maybe you're just not hungry enough, maybe you just don't have a desire, look at this guy. This guy, I'm not joking. He's 5'5", 5'5", and got paid to play a professional sport. Now, again, taking that at face value, I don't care what your genetics are. I do not care. I'm 5'10". That's not very tall. And I have the hardest time putting on muscle. My genetics just don't allow me to do that. So I have to work extra hard. But at the same time, you take what you have, the cards that you're dealt.
I love that, yeah, man.
You take what you have. If you don't take what you have and you don't play with the hand that you're dealt, you lose. There's no way of winning if you don't play. So you continue to take the cards you're dealt. And every once in a while, you'll play a card and it'll work in your favor. You'll gain a card that won't work in your favor. You'll have a discard pile. You discard some of the garbage out of your life and you gain a better card. And eventually, you'll have that royal flush. And you'll be working so hard to where whoever's against you with their cards, that royal flush completely takes out any of their advantage because you worked your tail off and you kept grinding and you took one card out and put one card in. That card didn't work. Okay, let's discard that. Let's take another one in. So it just goes to show you that I don't care what your genetics are. I don't care what your family is. I don't care what type of money your dad makes. I don't care what type of CEO job your mom has. If you can put your head down, put your nose on a grindstone, and continue to press towards whatever goal you have, nobody can beat you. I'm sorry. Like, nobody can. I don't care if there's a guy on the other end of the street, he's got $1 million waving in your face, and he says, all right, bud, all you have to do is cross that street, and there's traffic going 100 miles an hour. Good luck. I don't care. If you work hard and you focus, you will find that man with $1 million, and he will gladly give it to you. And I'm blessed to know people like Ryan and understand that what he's done with his life is not only a just exciting thing to experience, but it's also just so it's humbling. It's very humbling to know that you have people in your life that you really enjoy and you respect and you love, and they go out there and all odds stacked against them, they go out there and complete a goal of theirs. Whether they got to live out that goal or not, whether they got to go out there and compete and retire when they're 50, doesn't matter. He got to that goal.
In retrospect, man, it's a lot about just loving the process. And I know that's a very redundant thing that we hear a lot.
Everybody says it, but that's
the truth. Yeah, it is. I mean, you wake up and you're working so hard you don't even realize that you're living the dream by chasing the dream. And, I loved how you said, everyone's dealt a hand. And I think, one of the reasons I'm on this podcast right now, realistically, is I was dealt a pretty bad hand. I didn't have many jokers in the hole. I didn't have a lot of aces.
I wasn't dealt a royal flush from the beginning either, so.
And you gotta just play your cards, man. And I think the cards that I ended up drawing that helped me out were the people around. I mean, you're talking about community, talking about, feeling great and honored and humbled to know people. And I think that's what helped me out in the end, was surrounding myself with great coaches, following the right mentors in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and just having people that truly understood what they were doing take time out of their lives and to take me under their wing. And and yes, I listen. I'll give myself credit, to be in that position, to listen, to learn is one thing. But to find the right people, that's something you can't, sometimes people don't want to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very fortunate to have people that loved me, cared for me, and just having good mentors in my life took me farther. If I didn't bump into Jarvis, the bodybuilder,
Mm-hmm.
then I wouldn't have fell in love with the gym and learned how to work out and to get faster. I ran for anyone that says they can't get faster, just know you can. I ran a 7.4, 7.5 out of high school. Yeah, and that changed into a 6.7, 6.8 in college.
Wow.
And
Wow.
things clicked for me a lot later than some guys. I have a story about Alex, since he was in this podcast just last episode.
He runs a 6.7 in like khakis and
he can wake up and walk that.
He walks a 6.7.
So talking about surrounding myself, I remember begging him to go race me. Like, let's go to Hendersonville High School and go on the track and let's race. And I remember just. It's funny, you can visualize.
That's
this
so
little
funny.
Guy Kemp running very behind this guy,
Yeah.
and he's just a freak.
Yeah.
And that was a big, in my defense, it helped me. Surrounding yourself with people that are better than you make you a better whatever. It doesn't have to be sports, but let's say you're in the banking industry. If you surround yourself with someone that really understands the ins and outs, you learn things, you pick up on things. And, I really wanted to pick up on Alex's training method, so I begged him to go. And yeah, he whipped my butt for an hour straight where I didn't even sniff, but I always mess with him. I'm going to beat you in the race one day. And I never will. But chasing that guy was awesome. But the story I got is, we went to the same high school.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Tennessee Tech, and I went to Columbia State. Eventually, down the road, I went to MTSU.
Yep.
And Tennessee Tech's playing MTSU at MTSU. And I'm hitting third, and actually Brandon Smith is the pitcher for Columbia. He was at Columbia State, so I knew the pitcher too. And so it worked out in my favor because I knew the pitcher. Just Alex is playing center field, and I hit a line drive. And it's right at Alex. And Alex takes 3 hard steps in, and it burns him by 30 feet. He made a really bad read on it, right? And I'm laughing. I'm at second base, and I'm like, man, why are you coming in? Go back. And all he does is just throw his hands up, and we're good friends. And after the game, we bumped into each other. I said, man, what are you doing? Coming each, man. And he said, let me tell you. He goes, Ryan. He said, you had pop in high school. You had some good swings on you in high school. He said, you didn't have that. That was different.
That's different.
That's
different.
Keep in mind, a line drive right at you is the toughest ball to read.
Yeah.
In center field, you don't know where it's really going. But just that moment, it feels good because I think my story, if you look at it, there were so many great athletes in Hendersonville. At Moss Wright Park, I can name Austin Money, Braxton Brinkley, Brad Giroux, Paul Kirby. I'm with Alex. There's a million guys, and to be honest, I wasn't in that group. I might have been in the picture somewhere.
I thought you were in that group. That's just me.
I was down the list. There's Zach Scott, Justin Collins, Ryan Roberts. There's so many guys that were just more athletic than me, a lot taller than me. That's for sure.
Just more. They were gifted without even having to work harder. They just
and not that they don't work hard.
No, they work. Trust me, they work hard. Yeah. But they were taller. They were stronger. They were faster, more lean. Whatever you have it.
I wasn't the Jay Roten of the Moss. I love that guy.
Ooh.
I miss old Jay. He's a monster. But we ended up, I think even at that age, I was fortunate enough to know that I really liked baseball, and I wanted to try my very best to get as good as I could at it. And slowly throughout the years, I started hawking on one guy after another. Mm-hmm. If you visualize us running a race, I'm slowly passing one guy and passing another guy, and then eventually it snowballed into just a lot of things panning out, and things getting a lot better for me in the sense of just baseball, just getting more flexible, learning how stretching helps so much.
So much.
And just learning the ins and outs. And then on top of all that, just bumping into the right person at the right time.
Dude,
it's shaking the right hands, and it doesn't get talked about enough, to be real honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it helps out a lot to be friends with the right person. But I think the coolest part of my journey, you hit the nail on the head, is just, being an underdog and being called short. And that gave me a chip on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone gets motivated in different ways, but you have to figure out what motivates you and wake up and use that to the nth degree. Whatever motivates you, whether you say, all right, tonight I'm going to get a nice steak dinner, so you're going to work really hard. If that's what motivates you, then do that. For me, motivation came from, not supposed to be there, not supposed to, be a power hitter, not supposed to, go play pro baseball. Baseball was the only thing I had to. I think that helped me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have football. I definitely didn't have basketball. The ball was bigger than me, but I think it's just funny because you take what life gives you and you make the best out of it. And I think it's so important to do that. But also enjoy the process of chasing your dream. That's the coolest part, man. Memories, it goes so much farther. I don't remember what I hit this year or that year, but I remember, me burning Alex Jr. that one time. The memories that you made playing the game and just the people you run into, that's what's special.
I'll tell you a story. So I was in high school still. I was a junior in high school, and we played at a showcase tournament in the fall. You've played at Tennessee Tech, so I'm playing left field, and Jay Roten's at the plate, and we got a guy on the mound. Can't remember exactly who it was, but he was throwing potatoes. I mean, like, it was beach balls, and Jay Roten sits back on a changeup, and this is the moment when I knew that I wasn't getting drafted. This is the moment that I knew that I would probably play some college ball, but I was not getting drafted. Jay Roten hits a ball that I found out later on that was 112 miles an hour off the bat and didn't get more than 6 feet off the ground. It hit the left center field fence, right? Puts a dent in the fence, and here I am running this baseball down, and the only thing I'm saying in my head is, what in the was that?
Yeah.
That wasn't a baseball. That was a Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, that's classic Jay.
So I throw the ball into second base, and I go back into the dugout, and I'm talking to my pitcher, and I was like, did you even see that ball hit the bat? He was like, no. I looked back, and the fence had a dent in it. I was like, yeah. But, like, it's crazy to think about, like, the people that we grew up with, and it's like, just in my community alone, some of the guys that Ryan talked about, just in our community, it's like guys that grew up that were just stud baseball players. And, like, I consider myself a pretty decent baseball player. I wasn't amazing by any means, but I was good enough to get a college scholarship. But then those guys were, like, levels above me. And some of those guys just played at college, and now they're doing their, professional jobs, or they're coaching the game or whatever have you. There's guys above them. And I'm like, oh, buddy, like, yeah, I'm just going to go to college and have baseball pay for my school. That's it. But a point you made was, everybody focuses on the process and how that's kind of something that people just kind of tout all the time, talk about is the process. And we always equate the process to, what am I doing? What's my day look like? How is my process going today? And we don't ever think about who's in our process. Who's in that process. Because I think this world has a lot of great people. Has a lot of people that are very loving and helpful and love other people and unconditionally, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to love their neighbor. There's also a lot of people in this world that are snakes in the grass and you will think that they're your friends, and you will think that they are loyal and they want the best for you. But in reality, they're just hanging around you because they want to ride on your coattails or whatnot. But I think when you meet the right people and they're willing to take you under their wing and they are willing to
use them, yeah.
And you are allowed to use their resources. You just hit the lottery.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, you were name dropping some guys in the gym, and some of the guys made me think about who in my life have I met that pushed me to that nth degree, or I can say I was catching up to them. And man, I have people in my life, not sure if they'd be comfortable with me like name dropping them, that I love dearly and push me very hard, but like I didn't have anybody having me crawl out of the gym.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have anybody pushing me to the point where I thought that
it's a blessing.
I thought that I was going to like just
Die,
kill over,
yeah.
right? I mean, I had coaches that would chew me out, and that I love that. Some guys are, I hate when a coach chews me out. Get over it, because it's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
But I had coaches that did that. But I'm thinking about my process in the gym, my process in my nutrition, my process in my day-to-day lifestyle, just time management. I didn't have that. And I had to figure it out on my own. And I think that's where my process is a little different. And maybe to Ryan's process, because he met the right people and they pushed him. But for me, I just, there's people that I know that I use as I used to kind of help me propel myself, but I didn't think I had anybody that was that guy. I just didn't have anybody that was that guy. But what I did have was people that I looked up to, like AJ and Ryan, and guys that may or may not have the best odds, may or may not have had the best hand dealt to them. And I looked up to those guys and I was like, I know I grew up with them, and I know that we played ball together and we're close buddies. And if I hit him up right now, he would text me back and we'd go get dinner or whatever. But I look up to that guy like a superhero because he just has that it factor. He's got something about him, whether it be his hard work, his attitude, whatever it is that I didn't have that I wanted to be like. So to me, that was my people that I knew. Everybody says, it's life is about not about what you do, but it's the people that you know.
Absolutely.
You're one of the people that I knew that helped me with that. And again, there's so many people I could talk about in that sense, and I can name drop and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, whoever's listening, if you feel like you don't have that person and you feel like you're in a rut and you can't gain new perspective and you're stuck, go find somebody. Go shake on somebody's tree. Go bark up someone else's tree. Whatever you got to do. Find the person that is the best in what they do. And follow them.
And respectfully ask for help.
Reach out to them and let them know, hey, I want to be you one day. What do I got to do? And I promise you right now, the ones that are the people that are in those positions that are half of a decent person are going to be willing to help you.
Absolutely.
Whether it be if they reach out to you on a DM or you ask for a 10-minute phone call. You can learn so much knowledge from that. And I think that social media has a great platform for that. They may not be talking specifically to you. They may not be tailoring a message for your needs. But if you follow what they are offering and you take that to heart and you run with it, that is a definition if it's all about who you know. Because you don't have to know them personally. You just have to know who they are and what their mission is and follow it. That's it. But, I kind of go through and on the podcast, I want people to talk about their perspective and talk about, especially in fitness, like in the gym. On those days when I'd walk into the gym, either you were walking out or in the middle of a workout. We were young. We were in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And the days where I saw you just in hell. At those moments, what was going through your head, if anything was going through your head, and how did you power through that? How did you take yourself out of the equation and just forget about what's going on and just focus on the road ahead? What went through your head in those moments?
Yeah, no, I think in those moments, I was probably the hungriest I'd ever been in my life, in the sense of I have this dream and I can see it and I know I can do it. I believe in myself I think it really starts with that, is you have to genuinely say, this is something I want to do with my life. How do I get there? And then you say, can I achieve that? And if you don't really believe that you can do it, you're just, I don't want to say you're wasting your time, but it's just probably won't happen for you, because several reps in the Gold's Gym in Hendersonville with Carter Wiseman, there's a guy named Logan and Jarvis. We went Monday through Friday, and Logan and Jarvis were really just helping me and Carter out in the sense of teaching us everything they knew. It's called paying it forward. They had their lives. They felt like bodybuilding and lifting helped them, saved them, whatever they want to say. Really physically made their lives better. So they're now pushing it on to someone new, paying it forward. I can't wait to enter that part of my life. But the thing about it is, how do you push through? It's first defining your dream, defining your goal. And, there was many reps I took in that gym where all I can think about is, I'm doing this. I'm going to go play baseball. And just every single day, to an obsessive, I want to go play baseball at Vanderbilt. I want to go play baseball at MTSU. These guys don't know who I am today, but one day I really hope they know who I am, and I really hope I can make an impact in the sport. And several days, where I was, on my deathbed doing squats.
You went to a dark place, but it was for
a
good, yeah.
And I think, everyone, I think it's a little overhyped now, fight your demons, get after it, do those things, and that's fine, do what you got to do. But I think keeping your goal in your mind, if you really care about it, you'll think about it a lot. I think several times I thought, who I am today is not who I'm going to be tomorrow. And you got to keep having that mindset. If you don't have the growth mentality of, this is where I am now, and you're in a place where, you may not be as happy as you think you could be, I think a great way to get out of that bad mental is say, I'm going to grow today, whether it be fitness, whether you read a book, whether you listen to a podcast, whether you watch a motivational video. That's my favorite thing in the world to do to this day is in the morning, sit down, type in motivational video, and there's a million.
There's a million of them.
And they're cheesy. I won't give you. There's some really cheesy.
The music
ones.
and
But for whatever reason, that's what works for me. My wife Allie, that doesn't work for her. She laughs at them. It doesn't. For me, I can sit down in 5 minutes and be ready to run through a brick wall. People are just wired different. But find out what works for you and take off with it. But I think you're either, going downhill a little bit or you're going uphill a little bit in different areas of life, and step back and realize why am I unhappy, but you just got to keep moving forward. You can't stop. What was it? The shark dies. If it quits swimming, it will literally die. And I think, there's so many things like that you can look around you to motivate you to be a better version. Like if you look back 2 or 3 weeks ago and you're still, the same person in whatever category of life, then I think you're living life the wrong way. I think rest is fine. I think, relaxing is okay to a certain degree, but I think more often than not, we waste a lot of time. I think, man, I mean, so I've heard this, and it's my favorite thought lately, because it's one of those cheesy motivational videos. In life we have 5 rubber balls, and then we have a glass ball. You have your faith, you have your family, you have your friends, you have your work, and then you have your free time, and then the last ball is glass. And a lot of those rubber balls you can drop, and it'll come back up to you. You drop your faith a little bit, it'll bounce back up to you to a certain degree. Your family, they'll let you back in your home if you make a mistake. If you drop your work a little bit, eventually you'll get it back. But the one thing that you drop and it's gone forever is your time. Mine Woo! The last one's glass, and you drop that glass ball, it's gone. You'll never get what happened your senior year of high school. There's nothing you can do to get back there. There's nothing. You'll never have that back. So what do you get from that? Well, what are you doing right now? What are you gonna do after you get off this podcast? Literally. I mean, and I think a very common thought I had in the gym when I was really tired and I didn't want to do it, didn't even want to go, was remembering who I am today does not have to be who I am tomorrow. And I'm going to chase that guy that's tomorrow and the next day. And you got to be very vivid and think about those things. And some people say, go to that dark place. It's okay to go to that place of no return and to get after it. And I promise when you're done, you'll feel a lot better because of it.
Yeah, you'll propel yourself out of that dark place. And that's a part of my story is, you know, I go to the gym. Not only do I want to be in peak physical health, but I also, like if you listened in the first episode, is like some of the demons that goes on like in my head and how I view myself and some of the lifestyle changes that I had back then versus now. I think a big motivational factor for me is being afraid of going back to that and always chasing myself the next day. Like tomorrow, I'm looking forward to today's my off day at the gym, nice and relaxed, but that doesn't mean that I'm not excited or motivated to get to the gym tomorrow. And I'm chasing Nathan Neal tomorrow at 3:00 in the afternoon when I'm in that dark place at the gym because I know that is where I grow. That's where the water and the nutrients come in for me as a flower or whatever you want to tell yourself you are to grow. But
you heard the Matthew McConaughey, interview.
Yeah.
Ask him like, who do you want? Like, who's you going after? He said, it's me in 10 years.
Yeah,
10 years
me
later,
in 10 years.
They asked him, you chasing? He said, no, it's me in 10 more years from now.
That's awesome.
And,
yeah.
It'll for those that don't know, listen to your Will Smiths, your Matthew McConaughey's, your I don't know.
David Goggins.
Yeah, David
that's
Goggins,
the man.
Book, really
Woo,
great.
Same.
There's a lot of people that are successful that are much more successful than 90% of the world. Listen to them. What are they doing? What is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson doing? If you don't know like what he's doing, then how are you going to beat him? You're not. You physically won't do it.
I get sore watching that man work out. He's a freak.
I think the thing about him is just how early. I like my sleep, and he's up in like 4 doing his cardio, and then at 5 he's already done 2 workouts. And there's videos of him saying, "That's my rock. That's my foundation. That's what sets my day, and that's what makes me different." And the man's different.
Very different.
To be different, you have to act different, and a lot of people don't like acting different, to be honest, but.
My dad, one of the number one things that I will take with me forever is when I was preparing myself for whatever it is. Usually it was in preparation for a college showcase or it was in preparation for some type of district game in high school or even on phone conversations in college before I stepped on the field. One of the things that my dad always told me was, be different. And he wasn't saying be different to he wasn't telling me to be different so just to be different, to be weird and just to stand out. He was telling me to be different because people will notice. And if you're different in a good way and people notice that, 9 times out of 10 they're probably not going to understand it. They're not going to understand it. And if they don't understand you when you're being different, good. Because if you're being different in a good way and nobody understands that, then that means you're being unique. And I think that when my dad would tell me to be different, I think he was telling me to be unique. Every time that he said that to me, it wasn't, I love the words he said. He would always say, just be different, stand out. Well, in reality, I would try to be different. But ultimately, my brain always went to being unique. And if you look at the definition of unique, it's something that is one of a kind, but hard to understand, hard to grasp. So wherever you are in your journey, in your professional journey, in your athletic journey, in your fitness journey, be unique. Don't be afraid to take risks and be unique. I'm not giving you guys the okay to have bad form in the gym, just saying. But what I am telling you is be unique in your workouts. Be unique in the way that you train. Be unique in the way that you seek out clients and the way that you reach clients for your business. Be unique. That is, to me, what I think when it comes to people that are successful. And we named a couple of them earlier, but there's thousands of successful people out there. And not only do they understand how to be unique, but they know how to be unique and make money doing it.
Yeah.
So if you can look at, and I talk about David Goggins all the time. And if you get a chance to read his book, Can't Hurt Me, you'll see things so differently. And if you want somebody that's unique, that guy's unique. He runs like super marathons on Christmas Day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, most of the time when we're spending time with our families, he's out there running a 30, 40, 50-mile marathon just because he doesn't want to, but feels like he has to. To be himself and to be unique. So that, to me, speaks volumes about how we can be the best versions of ourselves. And if you want a one word, one statement, blanket statement, whatever you want to call it, be unique. Be hard to understand, but be genuine in that aspect. I think when it comes to our fitness journey, we follow these trainers on Instagram. Some of them have great insight. I mean, I will sit there and watch their videos and be enthralled and be excited about what they're teaching because it's different, it's unique, it's something that maybe I haven't heard before or maybe that I haven't really gotten a chance to dive into yet. But really just take note of some of the things that you see on social media because a lot of it is wrong. A lot of it's wrong.
Everybody's an expert
nowadays. Like I have a personal trainer license. I'm going to make an Instagram and I'm going to, it's talking about myself. Like if I made a fitness Instagram and we started posting stuff, I would expect to get a lot of people saying, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong.
Okay.
Where you're going to get the difference is when you look at what's right and what's wrong, what's genuine and unique and what's just like everybody else, is when you take it at face value and you see, well, that guy, that girl, that entrepreneur, and that professional athlete are all doing the same thing. And I mean, it's cool, they're doing the same thing. But when you see somebody doing something different, it's like, oh, never seen that before. Watch it. Because that means one of two things. That means you will either gain a new insight and it will be exciting for you, or it will be completely wrong and you'll know exactly what not to do. So you never have a lose situation when you're being unique. Or if you listen to people that are unique, right? So,
and I'll piggyback off that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just find people like that and surround yourself with those people. Try to, I think a saying that I fell in love with my college coach at Columbia State, Mike Horn, he would always say, he had a lot of sayings. Quirky guy.
As all college coaches do.
Love that man. He'd always say, you hang around the Joker and the Riddler enough, you're going to become the Joker and the Riddler. Mm-hmm. And that's just, it's common sense. If you hear that, you should know, who you hanging around is very indicative of who you're going to become. It is so important to try your best to find people that are like-minded and try to be unique in the sense they're trying to be uncommon in a very common world.
Mm-hmm. Uncommon amongst the uncommon, I guess you would call it that. Yeah, it's a David Goggins thing.
Yeah. You just got to surround yourself with the right people, and that goes a long ways. If someone's in your field, and be realistic. If they're better than you, surround yourself with the person that's better than you. I think there's a saying, I think Simon said, he's always says that if you sit in a conference room and you're the smartest one in the room, you're not going to learn much. You want to be the dumbest one in the room to a certain degree. You don't want to be it's completely. You don't
want to be helpless, but I agree.
But you'll certainly learn from the people around you, and at the end of the day, where you end up in life, it really falls on you, and a lot of that is who you're surrounding yourself with. Don't become the Joker and the Riddler. It's so easy to fall in that trap of, going out and hooting with the Owls. I will say, if you love that lifestyle, more power to you. But I always like to say, if you hoot with the Owls, you got to soar with the Eagles. You got to wake up the next morning and get after your work and accomplish something. Don't lay around and think about what you did last night. You know,
Correct.
I love that saying. I think a lot goes with who you're around. You know, if you have a good friend, they'll pull you out of bed and you'll figure out something to do that day that's actually productive.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, you know whether you were productive that day, whether you gave your best effort or not. And I think a lot of being successful is just being realistic with who you are, being very realistic in what you're trying to accomplish. I know we're running a little over time maybe here, but
nah, man, we got plenty of time.
Well, I want to, before I get a chance, I just wanted to segue into just like taking a minute, and he didn't know I was going to do this, but just saying, you know, this man's, you know, taking a lot of time and trying to do something to add value to people's lives, and he's very just humble about it. But I will say, you know, it doesn't take a lot to like the video. If you had any value from it, subscribe to him, share it to a friend. If you heard your name on the podcast, you know, just share it, man. It doesn't hurt anything. You know, he's a great guy. We grew up around here in Hendersonville, and you know, if you're getting value from it, help him out, because he's putting his neck on the line here. You know, episode 1, I watched it. And I remember thinking, there's several men in the world that wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, a ton of power to you for not only taking time out of your life to try to help others, but to simply tackle a big feat. You know, there's a lot of people that say, I want to start a podcast, I want to start YouTube, and they never act on it. And you're doing something special, man. You're taking a step, and maybe it doesn't plan out, maybe it does, but at the end of the day, you know, you put your best foot forward. And that's so, to be ambitious is the coolest, and I love people like that, man. So I really hope everything pans out. I hope this grows, and I know you want to touch people's lives, and I think you can do it, man, because it's humble beginnings, you know. You're learning, every step of the way, you're learning something new, and that mindset, it's going to take you a really far way, Nate, dude. So I really appreciate you just bringing me on and us talking. Like I said, I really hope you grab maybe just a little bit of info here that helps you out. But like the video, subscribe to him. It literally is free. There's nothing that costs, you know. And dare I say it, he will continue to help you. These podcasts are awesome, man. I'm so glad you're doing them.
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate you. That's kind words, because in this day and age, like you try to make a difference in people's lives, and you try to use your words as a way to relate to people and use it as a vessel to help others in what they're going through. And everybody goes, great job, great video, awesome, but they never take the time to reach out and tell you what they're going through. Yeah. That's part of this podcast. I want you guys to reach out and tell me exactly what's going on in your lives, because I want to know that what I'm telling you guys is making a difference, not just hooray, yeah, you posted a video about your testimony and you have friends. That's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is to be a platform for not only for me to share my perspective, gain perspective, but also for you guys as the listeners to input your perspective and input the things in your life that are either defeats or victories. And that, to me, speaks volumes about a podcast. If the audience is not only engaging and cheering you on, but also telling you the raw, real things that they're going through. That's what I want this to be. I want to be raw. I want to be authentic. I want to look in the mirror and say, nobody else sees anything differently from what I see. I want everybody, at the end of the day, a man is only as good as his word. It's only as good as his word. And I want everybody to say, that man was as good as his word, and he was raw and authentic and unique. That's what at the end of the day, that is a goal of mine. I think about, again, mentioning the people in our lives. You can look at this. This is a quote from Ed Milet. For those that listen to his podcast, great podcast, very, very awesome motivational speaker. He says that I can look at your work ethic and tell you where you'll be in 5 years. I can look at your diet and tell you what you're going to look like in 5 years. I can look at your your like house and your environment. I can tell you pretty much where you're going to be in about 5 years. I can look at your friends in your inner circle, and I can tell you where you're going to end up in 5 years. So to me, that's like, wow, I have to surround myself with great people, because not only do I want to be in a better scenario in 5 years, but I want everybody in my circle to be there with me. And I want them to grow, and I want them to flourish. Just treat life like a mirror. Treat life like a mirror. When you are talking to somebody, yes, you're talking to another human being, but treat it like a mirror. Be yourself. Make sure you are unique. And if that person doesn't like you, bye. Who cares? Because I like me, and I know somebody else likes me. So just be authentic, be unique, and if you continue to work and continue to dive into your process and continue to give it everything you got, whether your motivation is the fear of going back to who you once were, or the motivation of chasing the guy that is tomorrow or 7 days from now or 7 years from now. Always know that you're chasing something. But everybody chases something, and everybody chases somebody, but nobody chases themselves anymore. Chase yourself. You are in a race with yourself. Chase it. Guys, I appreciate all of the support. Sorry that I haven't been able to post recently. A lot of things happened in my personal life that came up, and I put all my energy towards that. So now I'm back on the podcasting road, and I'm so excited about it. I appreciate y'all's patience. First and foremost, Ryan, I appreciate you, man. You are one of the coolest people that I've ever met. You are one of the most inspiring people I've ever met. And I think that going forward, you're one of those people that when we're elderly and someone else is changing our diaper and whatever you have it, man, I will always say that Ryan Kemp was a guy that was a man of his word, and he was a guy that just was unique and authentic, and just somebody that I love dearly. So I appreciate you a lot. Where can everybody find you on social media? I know you're wearing your 86400 shirt. Just kind of drop all that in there, because I like the brand. I like the name of it. Just go ahead and put out your podcast.
So the brand's more of a hobby. It's not a business or anything.
Yeah.
But I decided, I'd always heard, 86,400 seconds in a day, and how you spend it dictates, not who you become, but just where you end up in life. And I'm such a big believer in the time thing.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. A lot of us spend a lot of time wasted. And, I heard a good saying, it's not so much sometimes your to-do list, but it's more so your not to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
I should not be playing video games as much as I do at the age of 26 with my friends.
Same. Sorry, Kate.
Yeah. I mean, we're we're grown men. But it's how we talk to each other.
You said the quiet thing out loud.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have said it.
But that's just the reality of it. I spend a lot of time maybe watching Netflix, maybe, sleeping. I think a ton of people nowadays sleeping forever. I fall into that trap a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
But you only get so much time, and you have to take advantage of that. And that's why I came up with a T-shirt that it took off a lot more than I ever dreamed it would. People bought it that I hadn't talked to in months. And if you were one of those people, I really appreciate it. It helps me out a very small amount. The profit margins on those T-shirts are ridiculous.
Not very big.
Yeah, no, I don't make it. Trust me, I don't make anything really. But it's not about that. It's about literally just wearing something that signifies that you care about your time, and follow. You're more welcome to follow me on Instagram, Ryan Tyler Kemp. You don't have to, but I know I'm not trying to develop such a big social media presence. I literally do it as a side thing. But it has been incredible. There's a lot of people in the world that value their time. I could not believe that from all around the world that I bought this shirt. And it means the world. It really does. Because you get under the trap, and you think that you might be the only person that wants to work hard and do these things. But there's a lot of people out there that want to be successful and are doing the things to be successful. And you got to find those people. You have to find those people. I cannot express that. You take anything, take the fact that, you need to find people that can help you and can actually help you because they understand what they're doing. And ride their coattails a little bit. You don't have to bother them. Respectfully surround yourself with people who you want to be. If you want to be an NBA basketball player, great. Go find somebody in the NBA and ask him what he's doing. And you'd be surprised. You would really be surprised. Famous people are human people too. I think going in pro ball and meeting people I've met, I think that's another big thing. Famous people that literally just won the World Series, literally, you could call them and they would probably talk to you. As crazy as that sounds. They may not want to deep down, but they will. And they understand that it's all about paying it forward and helping the guy next to you. You want to see the people around you succeed. If you have a different mindset, then, honestly, I wouldn't want to be around you because you need to find people that want everyone around them to succeed and surround yourself with good people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, feel free to follow me. You don't have to, but this has been a great podcast. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on, and I think this is going to be great for you. I think that even in just this one, I think there was a few cookies in there. A few nuggets. Oh yeah. I think that's what everybody said. They all say like, "There's a nugget in there."
There's a nugget in there too. Yeah.
There, so find your nugget and use it well. And once again, thank you.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we're just trying to find that one or two nuggets in there that 30 seconds, 1 minute of motivation or what have you in an hour-long video. So thank you guys for joining. Ryan, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Guys, go like and subscribe to the YouTube page. It's all love. I want you guys to gain insight and join me on this journey. I love you guys. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and peace out.